Misery Returns by Paul Sheldon. Chapter 1. Voices from the Grave. For a moment, Rory was not sure who the trembling figure in the darkness was. "Oh, sir, please excuse me disturbing me at this late hour, but I could not sleep." It was only when a terrified old man shuffled into the light of the doorway that Rory recognized him as Smeggs, the village grave digger. Only 3 days previously, Rory had watched Smeggs shovel wet earth on poor Misery's coffin after the heartbreaking funeral service. "It's the noises in the churchyard, sir. Horrible scratching sounds. Your ladyship, rest not easy." Rory dispatched Smeggs back into the night, telling him not to be so stupid. But after almost gagging on a giant tumble of malt, he had hitched up his horses and was riding the pony trap through the dark night. His ribs were still in agony from where the doctor had taped them when he fell from his horse on that rotten Mr. Grigg's tollgate. Smeggs' words alone could not put Rory in a present state of terror. But when the local doctor examined poor Misery's body, he had said something very queer. "It's not a bit like Charlotte Evelyn Hyde. I have satisfied myself with that."
Who's Charlotte Evelyn Hyde? She's not in the other Misery books.
Do you want to ask questions or do you want me to read on?
No, sorry, Paul, read on.
Charlotte Evelyn Hyde had been found dead in her back garden. The doctor had pronounced it to be a heart attack, although she was only 18. 4 days after the funeral, the village prostitute, Miss Reutemann, had staggered drunkenly through the graveyard and tripped on something white on the ground. She shrieked like a banshee when she realized it was a hand. The torn fingers first up hideously through the ground to the wet earth. Charlotte had obviously fallen into some death-like coma, only to wake and find herself buried alive. As his awful memory came back to Rory, he jerked his horses to a halt outside the gates of the graveyard. He rushed to Misery's tombstone as the church clock habit midnight. He threw himself on the ground and forced his ear against the earth. For what seemed like an eternity, he remained motionless, listening, and then he sounded the wood deep below. He let out one single breathless sob. "Misery, Misery, I'm here, my darling. Hold on." Well, is it fair?
Oh, yes. Yes, it's fair. It's wonderful. Paul, it's so gruesome. The poor woman who scraped the ends of her fingers off. It's not like the other Misery books.
Well, I know, Annie. Maybe it's not. Maybe I should tear it up.
I'll kill you if you do that. I have to know what happens next. I want a new chapter every night, like the cliffhangers.
Can't write a new chapter every night. It's too much work.
You can. Just like the girl who had to write a new story each night for 1,000 million nights.
Scheherazade?
And I can help too. I'll fill in all the missing ends. I won't read it. I'll do my eyes squished half shut. I'll read it again, Paul.
I'm pretty tired now, if that's all right. I've been working all day and half of last night.
Of course, I'll leave it alone. Oh, Paul, I'm so excited. Maybe it was a bee.
What?
That made it look like she was dead. She could have been stung by a bee, but everyone thought she died at childbirth. 1 in 12 people is allergic to bee venom, and sometimes it causes a comatose state. In fact, that could have been why that other woman, Charlotte, was buried alive as well.
Oh, yeah. 2 unrelated women in the same village both buried alive within 6 months because of bee stings?
Well, you're the writer.
It's nice of you to say so.
Paul, just forget I said anything.
No. No, wait a minute. They could be related. Yes, it would work if they were related. Surely it's really Misery's sister, or half-sister. That worked better. And they're both related because they're both related.
Did I?
Pen and pencil. Maybe they got the same hair or something. Maybe someone else in the village knows that Misery was buried alive as well. throughout the voyage. Misery lay in her hammock, half alive, half dead, slipping into cataleptic trances at the slightest. Rory knew if she would ever be stung, if she would ever be stung, she would die instantly. No, she would. She would either be stung or cured. Instantly. This is good, Annie. I'm cooking. I have a real special chapter for you tonight.
Here.
Annie? Are you all right?
No.
I'm just rewriting the last bit. Would you like your story early tonight? Sit down on the bed. Go on. You remember where we left things last night? Rory and Misery boarded the Lorelei, the schooner for the trip.
To the Dark Continent?
Yeah, to Africa. Shall I read on? Less than 100 miles inland from the Lorestorm, the Dutch settlement to the tip of the Barbary coast, lived the Borkas, Africa's most feared native tribe, known as the Bee People. It took 3 days before Rory would find a guide who would take him to Borka country, a giant Negro called Hezekiah, who flashed 7 gold teeth every time he smiled. Annie, I'm not finished. He told fabulous tales of a huge woman's face carved in stone, jutting from the edge of the crumbling cliff, the motionless face with a ruby set in a stone forehead. Behind the idol's mouth was a honeycomb of Jade, where giant albino bees... Annie, you're very sick. I think you should go into town and see a doctor.
When I found it, it was still struggling. But now it's at peace, I guess. They come to the cellar at night when it rains. Poor things. I suppose you think of escaping. But you can't. We can both go together. I'm going to go to the shed and get the shotgun and come back and put it in your mouth and pull the trigger. Then I'm going to turn on myself. Maybe the next world's better than this one.
No, Annie. You want to know how the story turns out, don't you?
Misery.
Yes, of course, Misery. Look, I agree, the world's a pretty awful place sometimes, especially when it rains, but I'll be in a lot of pain.
Pain? What do you know about pain? You haven't the slightest idea.
I guess not. Not compared to you.
That's right.
But you do want to know how the story turns out, don't you?
It's the only thing I still want in this world. There's a place I go and I feel like it's in the hills. Do you remember Brer Rabbit telling Brer Fox about his secret laughing place? Has a wooden sign above the door which says Annie's laughing place. I made it. Sometimes I do laugh when I go there. But mostly I just scream.
Slipping Paul, number 2 fan falling. I'm not gonna give up. Come on, Paul. When she gets back, she's gonna kill you. Poison her. And nothing more will crunch up in her breakfast cereal, and she'll go unconscious. She'll taste it. She's not stupid. I need to get out of here before Summer gets back. Burn the place down. That'll bring somebody. Mom said it's too late. It'll end up like that Christmas turkey. Fuck it, fuck it, fuck it! Do it. Have to do it. Okay. So when she gets back, you ask for a glass of water. Because you're so thirsty. Because you're so weak. When she bends over and bam! You throw her in the jungle, Master Rory. This is like walking in the clouds on the fucking Rolls Royces is.
What do you want first, Paul? The good news or the bad news?
Bad news first. Guess you don't like the book much. Too bad I tried.
I love the book, Paul. You know that.
You love the book? So you're not gonna kill me? So there can't be any bad news, right? Oh boy, I'm stoned.
The good news is that your car is gone. I was worried now it snowed about it, but the storms must have washed into the river. It's gone. Now that your car's gone, it means you can really stay and finish my book. Do you want to stay? And that's the question I'll have to ask myself. And as much as I want to pull the wool over my eyes, I already know the answer to that one. When I was 11, my whole family died in a fight, Paul, all except me. Do you have any idea what that feels like?
I guess not.
You guess not. I had more tragedy in my life than one person can bear. They put me with a mean, horrible family. It's not very Christian to say so, but I was glad when my stepfather died of food poisoning. When I was studying for my nursing exams, my roommate had what you might call a freak fall. And that was certainly the right word to describe her. Freak. She only fell on flat, but it was a stone fall. I'll call the hospital.
Whoa! Look at the moonlight coming through the window.
I got jobs in geriatric wards, St. Joseph, Riverview, and other places. You have no idea how far old people can be, Paul. When they're sick and nothing they do is right. A lot of them die. An awful lot.
I'm sorry, I'm drifting off.
Well, I preferred being a maternal nurse, and I was very good, Paul, no matter what they say. But there are more incidents. I want you to believe it. They put me on trial for one of the babies who died. Some girl who wasn't old enough to have a proper name. The press had a name for me, though. Oh, yes. They called me the Dragon Lily. The police had one handprint on the girl's throat that was like mine. Like mine, that was all. Also, they said I'd always been on duty when the deaths occurred. Well, what does that prove? You tell me, what does that prove?
Nothing.
Nothing at all. There were millions and billions of times I was on duty and nothing ever happened. Also, I don't believe babies are unsold. Anyway, I was found innocent.
Oh, well, that's good.
Everyone I ever loved dies, Paul. It's as simple as that. Do you want to know what got me through while I was in the holding cell in Denver? Misery. And I've read your books again, cover to cover. If it hadn't been for you, I think I would have taken my own life. So when I found you in the snow, it wasn't a coincidence, was it? It was a real miracle.
The best thing that ever happened to me.
Do you remember when I went to town because your writing paper wasn't good enough? That was the first time you went out, wasn't it? And don't try and tell me you haven't been out because all the hairs are broken.
Hairs?
Well, you can use cotton, but I use hair for my own head. When they're broken, you know somebody's been snooping. Not that I'm surprised. See, I've always known. I've known for a long, long time, Paul. That's the bad news.
Oh.
I should have known to do anything to get the pills, but when I get mad, I get, oogie. I checked the bathroom. I could have sworn some were gone, but I wasn't sure. How many times have you been out in all?
Twice.
Please tell me the truth, Paul.
That's all. 2 times. Get water and pills.
Oh. And you didn't check the telephone, or the locks either. Now let me tell you, I've placed strands of my own hair all over this house and they are all broken. In the hallway, in my bedroom upstairs, in the shed outside.
How could I get upstairs?
Look at this. I checked under your mattress before your pre-op anesthetic. I expected to find capsules. But not. It was a complete shock. I almost split myself in two. You didn't put it there, did you?
What do you mean by anesthetic?
Damn you! God damn you! How many times? I say 7, at least 7. Was it 7? I see you mean to be stubborn. I guess people like you get so used to lying for living that you just can't stop doing your life. And that's alright. Because the principle doesn't change. It doesn't matter if you went out 7 times, or 70, or 70 times 7. The principle doesn't change, and neither does the response. Have you ever read about the early days in the Kimberley diamond mines, Paul? The black workers used to steal diamonds, poke them with their rectums. Do you know what the British did to them if they ever got caught?
Killed them, I guess.
Oh no. That's like jumping an expensive car just because of a broken spring. See, They made sure they could go and work. They also made sure they couldn't run away. The operation is called a hobbling fall, and that's what I'm going to do to you.
No, Annie. Annie, please. Please, Annie. What the fuck is that for?
I can't assure there'll be no time, and a tourniquet's no good, no central pressure point. I have to cauterize.
Oh, please, Annie. I promise I'll be good. I won't ever get out of bed again. I promise, Annie. Please.
She's still okay. I need this nasty business will be
Annie, please. Please, Annie. Let me. I'll be good.